Hi, I'm here with a story. When Julia boarded the plane to Chicago, she noticed something odd. The seat beside her was empty. Now, Julia rechecked her ticket. The flight was completely booked. There were no empty seats, except one. And that was odd because the flight attendant had just announced that there were no seats available for upgrades. So why was this one seat free? Julia thought nothing of it until the flight attendant leaned down and whispered, "This seat is always left open. A man paid for it years ago. Every month he pays for it, but he never boards the plane. It's reserved." Julia frowned. Why would someone do that? The attendant smiled sadly. Because his wife died in a crash on this exact route. He told us he'd never let anyone else sit in her seat again. Julia shuddered. She knew that love stories could be sweet, but this one was tragic. Still, she couldn't help but wonder about the man. Why would he do such a thing? Did he really believe his wife would come back? Or was he just trying to keep her memory alive? Halfway through the flight, the stewardess placed a single rose on the empty seat. Julia's eyes burned with tears. She knew that the love story of the couple was more than just a legend. It was real, and it broke her heart. When their plane landed in Chicago, Julia hurried to the gate. To her surprise, she saw an elderly man waiting there. His eyes were fixed on the empty seat as passengers filed out. He wasn't flying. He just watched the seat. Julia hesitated for a moment, then walked up to him. She wanted to know who the man was and why he kept paying for the seat. The man noticed Julia and a sad smile touched his lips. "You were on the same flight as her, weren't you?" Julia nodded, surprised that he had seen her. "I see your rose is still here," he said, reaching out to touch it gently. Julia felt a lump forming in her throat. She wanted to speak, but no words came out. "My wife loved roses," the man continued, his voice trembling slightly. "She always said they smelled like heaven." He paused, then turned to Julia. "Do you mind if I ask you something?" he asked. "Of course not," Julia replied, surprised by his question. "Did you sit in my seat?" he asked, looking into Julia's eyes. Julia shook her head. "No, I sat in the window seat. The girl next to me, though she did." The old man's face lit up with a smile. "Ah, so it was you who sat in my rose's seat," he said. "Thank you." Julia felt a wave of understanding wash over her. This wasn't just a random seat to the old man. It was a symbol of his undying love for his wife. He turned back to the rose and whispered something that Julia couldn't hear. Then he straightened up and turned to her. "Would you do me a favor?" he asked. Julia nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Please don't tell anyone who I am or where I'm going," he said. "All I ask is that you remember me and Rose and the love we shared." With that, he took off his hat, revealing a bald head with only a few strands of gray hair. He removed his glasses, revealing kind eyes filled with sadness and longing. "Tell me, Julia, do you believe in love?" he asked. Julia, wiping away her tears, looked into the old man's eyes and whispered, "I do."